Take a moment to settle into your seat, settle into your posture, whatever it looks like today. And then find your breath, wherever you feel it the clearest. Tip of the nose, back of your throat, the feeling of your chest and abdomen expanding and contracting. Notice that one of your options is the sound of your breath. More likely than not, you can hear your breathing. It might be loud or it might be very quiet. You can readjust some things like constricting your throat a little so that you hear it more clearly. You don't have to do any of that, but try to attend to the sound of your breathing, whatever that sound happens to be like. Realize that the sound of your own breathing is an appearance in your space of hearing. It is being heard, and that hearing can be known. See if you can follow the next couple of breaths, focusing on the hearing aspect. Follow them from the moment the sound of breathing arises in your space of hearing until the very moment it vanishes. And now allow your attention to take in other sounds that emerge in your space of hearing, other sounds in the world around you, including your breath, but also the traffic outside, the buzzing of appliances, that construction site down the road, the creaking of the chair or the floorboards as you sneakily adjust your posture, the rattle of the train if you happen to be in transit, the sound of the street if you're sitting in a cafe or on a bench in a park, the sound of the park, I guess. Spend a few moments attending to your space of hearing, and each time you notice that a new sound has arisen, focus on it intently until it becomes clear. See how precise you can get with what that sound is made of, where in your space of hearing it is. And if you want, you can label it hearing. And now, at the risk of coming across as a bit of a weirdo if you happen to be sitting in public, say something out loud. You can say something as simple as listening, or you can go all mystical and metaphysical and say something like grilled cheese toasty. Whatever you choose to say, realize that you can hear the sound of your own voice. This should be obvious, but see if you can attend to the sound of your own voice as an appearance in your space of hearing in exactly the same way as the sound of that bus rolling down the road. Notice the moment the sound of your voice arises in your space of hearing. Focus on it intently. Listen as closely as you possibly can until the little vibrations that make it up become obvious. And then notice it disappear back into the space of hearing. You might repeat your chosen mystical phrase several times. Feel this out. Hearing, and hearing being known. And now do the same thing, but use your inside voice. You can keep the same phrase or uttering as before, or choose a new one, like Eggs Benedict. But say it to yourself in your head. Do it again, but this time notice that there is actually something to be heard inside your head. You can hear the sound of your own voice, but sort of hazy, almost like a shadow of your voice, saying Eggs Benedict. In fact, right now you might even hear the sound of my own voice in your head saying the aforementioned breakfast favorite. But the important thing to realize is that there is something there to hear. You are hearing things inside your head, as well as all of the things outside your head. Try this out a few more times. Notice that this too is hearing, and that now that hearing is being known. And now you might notice that there are other things being heard inside your head as well. Streams of mental talk and thoughts, or other mental sounds, are going on almost all the time. There are obvious ones, like Eggs Benedict. There are less obvious ones. There are thoughts that are so obvious you don't even notice them. Like the thought, I'm listening but not hearing much. That's a thought that you have heard, just failed to notice. And then there are several other layers of streams of mental talk, some of which sound not even like a whisper, more like bubbling and grumbling streams of undefined meaning and few loose words. This too is hearing, and this also shows up in your space of hearing. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable to get on board with the idea that this is hearing, but consider this. These thoughts that you are now aware of, you're not reading them, are you? There isn't a script in front of your eyes of which you're reading these thoughts, these pieces of mental talk. You do hear them. It's just a different kind of hearing, an internal hearing. And so in this practice, we are going to begin listening to this internal space of hearing, the space of thoughts and mental talk. We can refer to this as hearing in as opposed to hearing out, which we started off with. And depending on how you got to this practice, you may have worked with the external hearing quite a lot. Now we just change direction slightly for a moment and simply train our listening, improve our hearing. And so you might reset your posture. You might imagine moving your attention almost physically to the space around and in between your ears and attend to your internal space of hearing. Attend to the arising, changing, and, if you spot it, vanishing of mental talk and thoughts. Concentrate on this space. What that means is that any other appearance outside of your internal hearing is a distraction. The sounds in the world around you, the sights if your eyes are open, or mental images if your eyes are closed, the physical or emotional body sensations, or any combinations thereof. These are distractions. And so as you attend to your space of internal hearing, to your space of thoughts, these distractions will arise. your mind will wander. That is what minds do. And your job in practicing and applying concentration is to notice this, let it be, and simply bring your attention back to where it needs to be, your space of internal hearing. And each time you notice that mental talk has arisen, note this, by which I mean concentrate on that instance of mental talk as closely as you can. Concentrate on it until it becomes clear, a complete sentence with meaning, or, as it may turn out, absent of meaning and completely nonsensical, but concentrate on it such that it is made obvious and illuminated. And then label it hearing. Let it go and move on. Try this out for a few moments. See if you can spot the next thought the moment it arises in your space of hearing. Note and label hearing. You will probably have found it somewhat difficult, frustrating, or at the very least challenging to spot the arising of thoughts the moment they arise. This is a very tricky thing, conceptually even, that we will be coming back to. But it is possible. What is more likely to have happened is that you have noticed your thoughts having already been involved in thinking, almost like realizing you're thinking halfway along a thought. This is a lot better than not noticing at all. And most of the time, we don't notice at all. So wherever you spot a thought, an instance of mental talk, note it, concentrate on it, and importantly, label it to yourself as hearing. Because there is hearing happening, and now that hearing is being known. Keep going. Notice the fundamental difference in the two ways of attending to thoughts. The way we conventionally attend to our thoughts is essentially to be engaged in the conversation, to be identified with our thoughts, to speak to ourselves inside or out of our heads, depending on the day and the mood and the level of control, I guess, or drunkenness. But the way you're doing it now is to notice thoughts as appearances in your awareness without engaging in the conversation. For the moment, we are not interested in the content of your mental talk. We are interested in learning to hear it clearly in real time. Of course, down the line, the content will become important, but you cannot work with it until you learn to listen and to hear. And so remember, wherever in the development of a piece of mental talk you notice that there is mental talk going on, without engaging in the conversation, without becoming distracted by what the thought is about, simply notice it as an appearance in your space of hearing. Note it. Concentrate on it clearly as an object. Label it hearing. Let it go and move on. Keep going a little bit longer. See what happens to your thoughts when you note them in this way, when you attend to them clearly as objects in your awareness. More likely than not, the moment you attend to them, they will begin to change, even unravel. Of course, they may return, only to begin to change and unravel again. Arising, change, and unraveling is the natural cycle of thoughts, of our mental talk. See this clearly. Keep going. Each time you hear mental talk in your space of hearing, note it, concentrate on it, label it hearing, let it go and move on. All right, that's probably enough of that. The point of this practice was mainly to get acquainted with this other space of hearing, the space in which mental talk, thoughts, and other mental sounds arise, to notice just how much of it there is. In fact, as long as you are aware and awake or conscious, your space of internal hearing is full of whatever there is being heard. We will work in this space a lot. It is important to develop clarity and precision in how we attend to our internal mental talk. But for now, see if you can take this simple awareness with you in your day. Awareness of this space of internal hearing, awareness of mental talk and thoughts arising, changing, vanishing, to be replaced by the next arising, changing, and vanishing, almost constantly. You might make a point to pause and listen every once in a while. Several times throughout the day would be favorite. And we will build from here.